The morning sunlight poured through the tall windows of the Walker mansion, turning everything golden. For 25 years, David Walker, a self-made millionaire, believed he was the happiest man alive. He had built an empire from scratch, but to him, wealth meant nothing without his wife, Elena. She was the heart of his world, graceful, kind, and loyal. Their marriage was admired by everyone. Two souls perfectly in sync, living a dream life. They spent decades building memories, traveling the world, and hosting charity events. Their home was filled with laughter and photographs that told a story of perfect love, until one day, Elena was gone. A sudden stroke took her life in the middle of the night. No goodbye, no warning, just silence. David's world shattered. For weeks he couldn't sleep. The house felt empty, every corner echoing with her voice. To escape the pain, he began sorting her belongings, her letters, jewelry, and diaries. That's when he found it. A small locked notebook hidden beneath her clothes. Inside it, one name appeared again and again. Michael. The words were filled with emotion, regret, and longing. I hope Michael is safe. I'll never forgive myself for what happened. Someday I'll make it right. David's heart sank. Who was Michael? A lover? A secret past? He turned the pages faster, desperate for answers, until he found a newspaper clipping glued inside. Young man disappears after mysterious accident. Police suspect foul play. Under the photo, Elena had written in her own handwriting, "I'm sorry, Michael. I had no choice." David's world went still. The love of his life had hidden something deep, something painful. And for the first time in 25 years, he began to doubt everything. The next morning, David called his old friend Mark, a retired detective. "I need your help," David said quietly. "Find this man, Michael. I don't know who he is, but Elena did, and I need to know why." Mark agreed, and within days, he started digging into old archives, police reports, and missing person records. Slowly, the puzzle began to take shape. 25 years ago, long before Elena met David, there had been a car accident outside a small town. A man named Michael Evans had gone missing. The police never solved the case, but there was something stranger. Elena Evans had also lived in that same town. Her name before marriage was Elena Evans. David's chest tightened. Evans, the same surname as Michael. Were they related? He began searching through her old things again and found an old photo. Two teenagers smiling together. The boy had the same eyes as the man in the newspaper clipping. On the back of the photo, in faded ink, were written the words, "Together forever, no matter what happens. M&E." David's heart raced. Was Michael her first love? Or her brother? He didn't know what to believe anymore. Mark's next discovery changed everything. According to the old police report, Michael Evans was accused of a robbery and arson that killed a store owner. The entire town had turned against him. He vanished before his trial, assumed dead. But what stunned David most was a witness statement. It mentioned a young girl, seen running from the same scene, Elena Evans. David's hands shook as he read the report. His wife had been there that night. She had hidden this all her life. The woman he thought he knew better than anyone had lived another life before him. The sweet revenge. Haunted by the truth, David couldn't rest. He needed to know what had really happened that night. He traveled to Elena's old hometown, a quiet, forgotten place surrounded by forest and fog. Most people didn't even remember her name. But after asking around, he found an old woman named Mrs. Carter, who had once been neighbors with the Evans family. When David mentioned Elena and Michael, the woman's eyes filled with tears. "Oh, those poor children," she whispered. They were inseparable. Their parents died young, and they had only each other. Michael loved Elena more than his own life. David leaned forward. What happened to him? The woman sighed. There was a fire in Mr. Turner's store. Everyone said Michael did it, but I never believed it. That boy was innocent. He took the blame for someone else. Someone else? David asked softly. The woman nodded. Elena was there that night. She accidentally knocked over a lantern during an argument. The fire spread. Michael found her crying, terrified. When the police came, he said he did it, to protect her. David froze. The air left his lungs. It all made sense now. The guilt in Elena's words, the tears she hid when someone mentioned the past, the reason she never talked about her childhood. She had carried this secret for 25 years, and he had never known. But there was one more thing. The woman looked around, lowering her voice. They never found Michael's body, you know. Some say he survived, hiding somewhere far away. David's eyes widened. If Michael was still alive, then Elena's diary entries, "I hope he's safe," weren't just memories. They were prayers. He returned home with a storm inside him. The betrayal he'd felt turned into confusion, then sorrow. Elena hadn't lied out of greed or lust. She had lied out of love and fear. But still, the truth had been stolen from him, and the man who sacrificed everything for her, Michael, had been forgotten. David decided to find him, not out of anger but to fulfill what Elena couldn't. Weeks passed before Mark finally called. David, we found him. Michael Evans was alive, living quietly under a different name in another city, working as a mechanic. When David arrived, he saw a man in his 50s, with tired eyes but a familiar gentleness. He looked at David and said quietly, "You must be Elena's husband." David nodded, his throat tight. "She wanted to find you. She kept your name hidden for all these years." Michael smiled faintly. "She promised she wouldn't. It was safer that way." They sat for hours. Michael told him everything, how he had run away after the fire, changed his name, and started over. He never blamed Elena. He said she sent him money for years through secret accounts, making sure he survived. David's eyes filled with tears. All those hidden bank transfers he'd found, he had assumed they were betrayal. They were love. They were guilt. They were sacrifice. Before leaving, Michael handed David a small envelope. "She told me to give you this if we ever met." Inside was a letter, Elena's handwriting, soft and trembling. "My dearest David, if you're reading this, it means you found the truth. I didn't lie because I didn't love you. I lied because I loved you too much. I wanted to be your Elena, not the girl who burned a life down by mistake. Michael saved me. He lost everything so I could start again. I lived every day trying to be worthy of the second chance he gave me. You gave me love, David, the kind I never thought I deserved. But if you knew my past, you might have seen me differently. I couldn't bear that. Please forgive me." David's tears fell onto the paper. He looked up at Michael, whispering, "She carried both our hearts her whole life." Michael nodded silently. "She always did." A month later, David used his influence and wealth to reopen Michael's old case. The truth finally came out. Michael Evans had been innocent. His name was cleared after 25 long years. On the day of the verdict, David stood alone by Elena's grave, holding her letter. The evening wind carried the scent of roses, her favorite. He whispered softly, "You lied to protect me, Elena, and I hated you for it. But now I understand. You didn't just save yourself. You saved love itself." He placed the letter on her grave and smiled through his tears. Sometimes love isn't about honesty. Sometimes it's about sacrifice, silent, painful, and pure. And in that moment, David finally forgave her, and himself. Love is not always about truth. Sometimes, it's about the lies we tell to protect the ones we love. Forgiveness is the final form of love,